It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Come on and wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Hey.
Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. Happy Monday to you. I'm Anastasia Fallacious.
And I am Mark Daniels filling in for Phil Simon. Good morning, Bahamas.
Of course, it's our pleasure to be with you on this Monday. What a weekend it has been. So many things happening. Obviously, I missed the show on Friday, Mark, so I've not gotten to share my, I don't even know what to call this, response to this snap election that's coming up. Certainly, we saw some snappy behavior by the members of those parties who got the signs up. You know, Mike, I don't think we ever need to see a sign again in our life to know that it is a new day that's about our future.
Hey, I mean, those signs went up quickly, man. I mean, from that announcement was made, the trucks were around, and by that next morning, there was yellow and red everywhere. I mean, it was very efficient and a great display of, I guess, support for the party. And then we're in full swing of election season. You know, it's exciting. There's a lot of things to talk about. But yeah, man, lots of signs in the streets.
Definitely lots of signs all over the place, Mark. I think what has stood out to me even more than the signs, that's crazy to say, right? Given the amount of signs that are out there, has been, unfortunately, the number of rest in peace posts I've seen coming across my social media timelines over the weekend. A lot of people, Mark, we've lost a lot of people to this Delta variant very quickly. Wanting to send my condolences to the Bailey family, who I know lost both mother and son, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, you know, and at this point, Mark, I know that everybody has their own opinion on this vaccine. Our Prime Minister's made it very clear that there is enough vaccine in country with enough options in country for people to get vaccinated. I really have stayed away from this topic as much as possible because I understand that it is a personal choice. But I must let you all know this morning that I have been fully vaccinated since the beginning of June. I know that many people are saying, you know, I'm taking my time to study the data. The data has been very evident. The Prime Minister would have echoed it again in his sentiments yesterday. Between the end of May and the end of July, with 400 people being in hospital who are unvaccinated, 411 of those, 11 people being persons who've only received the first shot, and 0 persons are vaccinated, having passed away or having been hospitalized for this. You know, I think everybody says I'm waiting on the data. This is the data. We do not need to see more people dying. And so I really want to encourage you, you know, whatever is holding you back, please go to some credible sources. It is one thing to wait for something that you do not know. What can the result be in a year? Well, we don't know what it's going to be in a year. You're very right to make that consideration, but we do know that people are dying now. And so if at all possible, if you are over the age of 12, I really, really, really want to encourage you to think strongly about protecting you and yourselves. We've lost too many lives already. And there ends my rant for the morning.
Yeah, definitely a needed message. There are those out there who are on the fence. There are those who are somewhat afraid. There are those who have their personal reasons, and some persons have legitimate reasons. But as you said, this is real. COVID is real. I think that's one thing that we can all agree on, and that you must make the right decisions and the best steps for the health of yourself and for your family, and make sure you're making the informed decision that we all encourage you to make.
Yeah, and just the information is legitimate, right? It's one thing if at the end of the day, you know, for medical reasons you cannot take it, or if for religious reasons you decide that, you know, you and God are going to work together on this one. But for us, I think, especially those, Mark, who are just using incorrect sources, I think that's another consideration altogether. And so we'll leave that there. We got a great show lined up for you, and just continue to think on these things, and do not wait too long, because the hospitals are certainly full, and the numbers of people who are dying, it's just too much. It's just too much.
And, going right along with the COVID-19 topic, we'll be talking about with Dr. Pinto today, and he's going to be talking about the development of the COVID-19 vaccine. I know there's a lot of questions about it. There's a lot of information out there. He'll be here to answer some of our questions. We're also going to have Dr. Sheena Antonio-Collie back with us to announce the launch of a new COVID treatment now available at Doctors Hospital. Very encouraging, very exciting news. And we'll also talk to the Andros Business Outlook presenter, Mr. Justin Lewis, about conservation and bone fishery. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I know you're looking forward to that, Mark. That's right up your alley. And so I'm looking forward to hearing those conversations as well. I'm particularly excited. I'm going to be talking with Merrit Storr this morning. And I love when Merrit comes on. He was the first to come on when these emergency orders started over a year ago. He came, he broke it down for us. He always does. And so he's going to be back now to talk about Parliament and what's happening in this space leading up to elections. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Dr. Locksley Munroe is also here. He has an historic perspective to the evolution of SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19. And so we're looking forward to that conversation as well. And yes, the Andros Business Outlook is this Wednesday, August 25th at 9:30 a.m. It is a virtual event and you can attend free of charge. The conference will cover the topics of fly fishing, agriculture, bird watching, tourism, and much more. So I'm sure that Mark's going to sign up for it. Hope he gets the time off from work. So you guys can go ahead and register at tclevent.com. That is the Andros Business Outlook happening this Wednesday. Before we get into all of the great stuff we've lined up for you, though, we're going to take a first look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Storr. Good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at weather, sunrise, high pressure ridge combined with a dense plume of Sahara dust will continue to give us drier and stable conditions over the next couple of days. Today, partly sunny, hot, humid, and hazy, with a chance of a couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm popping up. High temperature 91, heat index 104. Tonight, a few clouds on the warm side, a passing showers possible. Your low going down to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados 87 and 79. In Jamaica, 88 and 79. In Trinidad, 88 and 78. The Turks and Caicos Islands, 91 and 77. Across North America, Atlanta, 89 and 73. In Raleigh, 90 and 72. In Miami, 91 and 80. Dallas, Texas, 93 and 76. And the Toronto, 82 and 70. As you go to the week, have a westward moving tropical wave will enhance some showers across the islands on Wednesday and Thursday. But tomorrow, another beautiful day in store, otherwise still hazy. And by the weekend, another lovely weekend in store weather-wise. But like I said, some showers during the midweek. Temperature daytime will be in the lower 90s, at nighttime in the upper 70s. That puts you up on your first look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Storr.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. The health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. And currently, this is not a wealthy one. The current COVID-19 surge has the Bahamian healthcare system crippled and in a dire crisis. Here to discuss this with us, we're very happy to welcome Dr. Greggory Pinto. He's a urologist with Urology Care Bahamas. And normally we're speaking about things as it relates to the urology systems there. But today we're talking about something so important, and that is the COVID-19 current situation here in the Bahamas. Dr. Pinto, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, it's my pleasure. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm here to just speak regarding the health of the nation, make a public health announcement. Obviously, many people have heard what I'm about to reiterate, but they don't want to listen. We're on our knees. The frontline workers My hats are off to them, the nurses, the auxiliary staff, the physicians in the emergency room, and the COVID units in South Beach, Doctors Hospital, PMH. They're risking their lives to save our fellow Bahamians and residents, and they risk taking the COVID-19 virus back to their families. So we really need to pray for them. They are overwhelmed, overworked, and the system itself is crumbling. There are only so many beds in this hospital. In this nation. Doctors Hospital, Dr. Charles Diggis has come out many times publicly and said that Doctors Hospital have no more beds. They have no more ventilators. They have no more ICU units. They actually have reached a point over a week ago where they're deciding who gets ventilated to live and who doesn't. You can't get worse than that. PMH is even worse. I mean, with the sick out, things have gotten even 10 times worse. So let's even think about things such non-COVID related emergencies. If you have an appendicitis, if you're in a car accident, if you have a heart attack, a stroke, it might not be you, it might be a family member, your grandmother, your uncle, your son. Where are they going to go? The emergency rooms are overwhelmed. They don't even have any free trolleys to accommodate you. The doctors themselves might take 6 hours just to see you. Those are the critical hours where you need to be seen. So please, a lot of people don't want to hear this. You got to get the vaccine. That's the only way we're going to get back on our feet. The only way the healthcare system is going to not crumble any further is the vaccine. And the statistics are out there. There's no doubt the efficacy of all the vaccines. Now we have the Pfizer available. Now we have the Johnson & Johnson. In addition to the AstraZeneca, statistics coming out of Princess Margaret Hospital from March 14th to July 31st of this year have shown that there have been no hospitalizations for persons who have been fully vaccinated. There have been no deaths for patients who have been fully vaccinated. So when you think about it this way, every death from COVID-19, you can argue, was preventable. And we have men and women in the prime of their lives, 20 years old, early 30s, have a family, have young kids who are dying unnecessarily of COVID-19.
So let's take a look at that then, Doc. So because a year ago when we were having this conversation, one, the numbers were not what they are now. We recognize that. And then two, it seemed to be a predominantly older person disease. Are we saying then that we've seen shifts in this virus that should make young people more concerned about making sure that they get this vaccine?
Oh, very much so. With the Delta variant, with the Lambda variant, it's a lot more contagious. You can even sanitize all you want. You can wear your mask. It's very contagious. Yeah, the mask can reduce the likelihood of you acquiring the virus, but it's not going to 100% prevent. There's even issues where you can get the virus just through eye contact. So no one can live in a bubble. No one can live isolated, and the virus itself is not going anywhere. So if you want to go back to our normal lives, quote unquote, if you want to get the economy back on its feet, if you want our golden goose, the tourism sector, and to continue to thrive, we need to get the vaccine. It's completely safe. The hospitals are not filled with people who are sick from getting the vaccine. It's the opposite. It's the unvaccinated. So I'm speaking to people who are on the fence, people who are waiting. Many were waiting for the Pfizer vaccine. There's no excuse now. The Pfizer vaccine is available. There's more than enough vaccine in the country for every individual. Pfizer, now you can get it for young persons 12 and older. So particularly going back to school, you got to get your young kids vaccinated if they're older than 12 years old.
Who is Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett?
Okay, so there's a lot of issues related to conspiracies. Even Bahamians would like to speak about there trying to be some sterilization of all the brown and Black people on this earth. One of the leading scientists who was instrumental, and Dr. Fauci, the head of the infectious disease unit in the United States, has lauded Dr. Corbett as being instrumental in rolling out the Moderna vaccine. And when you speak about conspiracy theories and everything else, I think it's very reassuring that a Black scientist was one of the leading persons who actually rolled out one of the more important vaccines. So please get that out of your head. There's no big conspiracies. No one's trying to sterilize you. I'll take it from the urology perspective. For men, and it's predominantly men who are very resistant and hesitant to take the vaccine. If you have COVID-19, your risk of getting erectile dysfunction is 6 times greater than if you didn't. There's a very strong correlation, acutely and even long-term, of having some element of male infertility, also related to the COVID-19 virus, not the vaccine, the virus. So if you want to worry about your erections, which most Bahamian men do, you need to get the vaccine to protect your erections. I've seen a huge population of young persons coming to see me who are recovered from the virus 8 months ago, 7 months ago, and still have profound erectile dysfunction related just to getting the virus. So please get the vaccine.
Dr. Pinto, you keep saying to get the vaccine. For those that are curious about it, why will the vaccine make the difference? How does a vaccine work so that it's going to make the difference in saving lives and saving erectile function?
So if this is a novel coronavirus, the body's never seen it. So when you have the virus for the first time, you're going to have an overwhelming hyperinflammatory response. And that is going to affect every system, from your respiratory system to your cardiovascular system to your vascular system. So you have a non-specific response that's causing overwhelming damage to your organs itself. So this hyperinflammatory response can lead to not just acute, but long-standing issues related to your lungs, to your heart. Not everyone's going to come in with shortness of breath. Some of them are going to come up with cardiac arrest. Some people are going to present with stroke. Some are going to rarely present with vascular issues. So what the vaccine does is it is going to make sure that if you do get exposed, so the vaccine is not going to prevent you from getting the virus itself. But if you do have it, you're going to have minimal to no symptoms. Your chance of being admitted to hospital is negligible, less than 5%. Your chance of dying is essentially 0%. So the only way we're going to survive this whole pandemic, the only way you as an individual or your family member is going to survive if you get the virus. And in many cases, because of the highly contagious nature of the Delta variant, it's almost inevitable. If you go to the hospital with query of COVID-19 and you don't have it, sitting in the emergency room for many hours just to be seen that the emergency room is overwhelmed, you're likely going to get it. If you come in with a broken leg, if you come in with a heart attack, if you come in with an infected diabetic foot, because of the way the hospitals are overwhelmed with COVID-19, if you don't have the vaccine, even going for non-COVID related emergencies, you're likely to get COVID-19. I've seen it myself. People who have been admitted for non-COVID-19 emergencies who have gotten COVID in hospital and died. So this is no joke. This is no joke.
Dr. Pinto, we want to thank you so much for bringing the seriousness of this to our attention again. Very hopeful that those out there listening this morning will take action to save their lives and the lives of those around them. Thank you for joining us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Take care.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
First, it's more than just our name, more than just our achievements. It's our nature, and it's where we put our customers. At Bahamas First, we've refreshed our look, but our nature remains the same. We design insurance solutions that protect our customers from life's uncertainties. Whatever they may be, we equip you for the future so that you can recover stronger. Bahamas First, what's first for you comes first for us.
Our world has changed. Many businesses have been closed for months with little or no access to their customers until now. Rev Media can help you remain connected to your customers. Our trusted customized advertising packages and personalized consultants will provide your business with immeasurable support during this challenging time. Your customers are already watching. Rev Media can help you to remain connected. Call us today. Let us help you.
Welcome back. Andros is a paradise for many nature lovers. We spoke to Audubon Americas on Friday about birding in Andros, and today we will talk with another presenter for the Andros Business Outlook, Grand Bahama native Justin Lewis, who is the Bahamas Initiative Manager at Bonefish Tarpon and Trust. Good morning, Justin, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, Mark. Whoop, sorry.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm excellent.
Yeah, well, so when I hear Bonefish, you're one of the first names that popped into my mind because, you know, Loki, I'm very jealous of you, man. You got a great life. You know, you spend lots of time around the Bonefish. You're in beautiful environments. You have a great job and you love what you do. Tell us about Bonefish Tarpon and Trust and the work that you do.
Yeah, so Bonefish Tarpon Trust, we are a nonprofit conservation organization focused on the conservation of bonefish, tarpon, permit, and their habitat. So bonefish, tarpon, permit are the big three flats fish that people recreationally target on the flat. So how Bonefish Tarpon Trust came about was in the Florida. They were noticing a decline in the Florida bonefish population there, but the habitat was having issues. There was no fish to really stay, so they decided to shift their efforts over to the Bahamas, where there is healthy habitat and there is a healthy population of bonefish, to help understand what makes a healthy ecosystem for bonefish. And so that's where they brought me in once I finished my degrees. And now I run the entire Bahamas for Bonefish Tarpon Trust. We've expanded from just doing our core research to doing a lot of outreach and education work, and also a lot of habitat restoration work.
That sounds perfect, man. You guys are always on the ball, very visible in the bonefish conservation world, very notable presence. You guys do great work. Tell us, what is the attraction of Andros for fly fishing and bonefish?
Well, so just within the Bahamas, one, easy access from the U.S. Majority of the people who come to the Bahamas to target bonefish are American. But then Andros has probably the largest bonefish habitat within the Caribbean and healthiest habitat within the Caribbean. Right. So, and just within the Bahamas, with the amount of habitat they have the most bonefish. So when you have healthy habitat, you're going to have a healthy fishery. So that's why people love to come to Andros to fish.
Yeah, because you hear Andros, and Andros seems to be synonymous with bone fishing. I know there are other islands in the Bahamas that offer great bone fishing, but Andros is usually the one you hear most persons speak about. So tell us, why is conservation necessary for the bone fishing industry?
So in my line of work, basically what I do is preventative medicine. So like I said, I'm going to harp on this constantly. If you don't have the healthy habitat, you're not going to have a healthy fishery. So what we're trying to do within the Bahamas, especially on an island like Andros, is to make sure that the habitat stays healthy. And that's by starting understanding of what habitats do these fish use and how can we best keep these areas protected? Because the greatest threat to the bonefish fishery in the Bahamas is habitat loss and degradation. That could be from dredging and just human development in general. So, and as an industry in the Bahamas, the bone fishing industry provides a lot of income to the country. Do you have any numbers you can toss at us, any statistics on what bone fishing brings into the economy each year? Yeah, absolutely. So we've done two economic studies, one in 2010 and one in 2018. And we found that flats fishing, bone fishing, employs over 8,000 Bahamians around the Bahamas. And then in 2010, basically during the height of the recession, we found that the economic impact of bone fishing in the Bahamas was $141 million. Oh. And then we did another study, and we made sure we did it even more comprehensive study in 2018, and we found that that number jumped up to $169 million annually. Oh. And within that, 80. So just for example, an island like Andros, small fishing community, they depend on flats fishing more than anybody else. And so for Andros, 80% of their tourism income every year comes from flats fishermen.
Right. And I think what's important here is that this income that's being generated is going directly to the fishermen. It's staying on the island. It's unlike the large hotel model that you find in Nassau. There's many levels before the money trickles down into the settlements, but this is one in particular where that money goes straight to the fishermen and in those communities and stays there.
flats fishing is, I guess, part of the boutique tourism economy within the Bahamas. And so since it's so small, and especially in these rural areas, the money trickles down within the economy. It doesn't get taken out of the country. It mostly stays within the economy. But even though that number is very large, that number is spread so wide. It's actually incredible that how many people that this industry impacts.
So just kind of spinning off of that. So how can Andros grow and improve as a sustainable fishing destination?
So one of the things we do is education. Right. That starts with working with we do a lot of work with the lodges, a lot of work with guides, and a lot of work with anglers that are coming to visit Andros and talk about best handling practices. Just to go back, bone fishing is purely catch and release fishery. But what we found from the research that we've done is just because you release the fish and it swims off fine or looks like it swims off fine does not necessarily mean that it survives post-release. It's all about how you handle that fish. So the research that we found is if you don't handle that fish properly, there's a good chance it's going to die post-release. And so thus that would not make it a sustainable fishery moving forward. So that's one of our main focuses is making sure that this fishery is sustainable and understanding the fishery so that we can protect the habitat to keep the fish around.
Very important work you guys are doing. So you'll be speaking at the Andros Business Outlook this week about the importance of conservation for the long-term stability of the fly fishing lodges. Can you give us a brief preview of your presentation?
Well, I'm going to be actually just on a panel, not really a presentation. I'm going to be on the panel with Cheryl Gardner. She's the owner of Swains Key Lodge. And then also Elizabeth Bain. She's the owner of Mangrove Key Club. And so they'll be talking more from the business perspective of things of the fly fishing industry. And I'll talk more conservation science side and then the economics as well.
Perfect. Definitely looking forward to that. And before we wrap up, I know there's, we get visitors coming into the country to do bone fishing and fly fishing, but what's the Bahamian, I guess, interest in bone fishing? And how many Bahamians do you see coming out in bone fishing? And how do we get them to be more involved or ourselves to be more involved?
So we are starting to see an issue of a lack of young guides coming up in the industry. And so part of the education part of things is I tell these kids, especially in these communities, like this is a good way to make a living. Right. It's just getting more interest in the young people wanting to come up as guides or wanting to come up working at the lodges. It's what we need to keep this industry sustainable.
And definitely you said the right word again, keeping it sustainable, not only for the fish and how we handle them and handle the industry itself, but once again, getting more Bahamians involved, getting younger persons doing the guiding and spreading this benefit around. So Justin Lewis, always great having a conversation with you. You're the Bahamas Initiative Manager at Bonefish Tarpon and Trust. We thank you for giving us your time this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
Yeah, man, thanks for being here. And you can see Justin this week. So don't forget to register for the Andros Business Outlook happening this Wednesday, August 25th at 9:30 a.m. This is an online free event. So register now at tclevents.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Wanda Rogers.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ranga.
Hi, I'm Dr. Valencia Johnson.
Hi, I'm Dr. Munish Sharma.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jazreel Thompson.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bonami.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rajesh Pahawa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Therese Nairn Knowles.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alpheus Alec,
Director of Ambulatory Services at Doctors Hospital.
I'm the consultant surgeon here at Doctors Hospital.
I'm a pediatrician here at Doctors Hospital.
I'm the director of imaging at Doctors Hospital.
An anesthesiologist here at Doctors Hospital.
Infectious diseases physician.
I'm radiologist at Doctors Hospital.
Emergency room physician here at Doctors Hospital.
And I'm clinical director of the emergency transport services and continuing medical education here at Doctors Hospital.
I am vaccinated against COVID-19.
I have been fully vaccinated for COVID-19.
I am fully vaccinated against COVID.
I am fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
And I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID.
I'm fully vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I hope you are too.
Are you?
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 Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. The House has been prorogued and Parliament has been dissolved. Elections are upon us. What does all this mean legally? Here to break it down for us, we're very happy to welcome Mr. Merrit Storr. He's the managing partner over there at Providence Law. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise, Mr. Storr.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very well. Always a pleasure to chat with you. So happy to be talking with you in these unprecedented and yet, in some ways, exciting times. The first proclamation was read by the Commissioner of Police in his role as Provost Marshal to prorogue Parliament. What does it mean and what is its effect?
Well, the prorogation of Parliament, the process is that the Prime Minister issues advice to the Governor General, inviting him to issue a proclamation. The proclamation is read by the Commissioner of Police in his role as the Provost Marshal. What this does is it brings a session of Parliament to an end. And the effect of that is that any bills or any legislation that had been tabled in Parliament or that were in process but had not been completed, they immediately fall away. And they would have to be retabled at the beginning of a new session of Parliament. What the process of proroguing Parliament is not, is it doesn't mean that there have to be general elections. So when Parliament was prorogued last Tuesday, I believe it was, or Wednesday, a new session of Parliament could have been initiated without general elections.
Right. So there was some great discussion about that in several spaces that I know of, about whether or not they would just be coming right back in September, as we saw him read before he did read the election notice. Let's talk about that. The Provost Marshal then read a second proclamation that afternoon. What was the effect of this?
Well, apparently the date for the return to Parliament had not been announced, I think, or had been omitted in the original proclamation. And so I think the effect of returning was really just to indicate that a new session of Parliament would begin on the 6th of October. So, you know, the issue of proroguing Parliament before dissolution is an interesting one. And, you know, it's I don't want to jump ahead, but it's interesting, the process between the two.
Yeah, so let's understand that process a bit more, because this is the first time in history it's been done in 3 separate segments. And of course, it had a lot of people coming up with a lot of different theories. A lot of people, I think, looking at the Constitution for the first time and saying, you know, well, can we come back? Will we have a new speaker? What is exactly the play here? And obviously, involved with this is politics. So we won't make it seem as if it's not. So when the Provost Marshal then came back the following day and read a third proclamation that had the effect of dissolving Parliament, what was the legal effect of this?
Right. Okay, so again, let me stress that in the past, it has been done that Parliament was prorogued first. It's almost like a warning. And then several days later, Parliament would have been dissolved. What seemed a bit unusual was that you prorogue Parliament one day and the very next day, you dissolve Parliament. But the effect of dissolving Parliament is that it means that within 90 days, writs of general election have to be issued. Within 90 days, Parliament has to return after the issuance of writs of election. So you have a 90-day period within which that process has to take place. The actual mechanics of it are the same. The Prime Minister, by issuance of advice to the Governor General, the Governor General issues a proclamation which is read by the Provost Marshal in Parliament Square, and that has the effect of pretty much paving the way for general elections. It also means that all seats in Parliament are vacated as of the dissolution of Parliament. So we don't have any MPs at the moment.
Okay. Now, just to clarify, Parliament could have been dissolved without first being prorogued?
That's correct. The Article 66 of the Constitution says that at any time, Parliament can be dissolved. So the Prime Minister always has this card in his back pocket that he can play whenever he feels it's advantageous or necessary, which is to dissolve Parliament. Every time we have elections, a new government is elected for a 5-year term, but they don't have to serve out a full 5-year term. It's at the discretion of the Prime Minister. And that's a constitutional provision that he can, at any time, give advice to the Governor General and require a proclamation for the dissolution of Parliament.
So you spoke to us and said, okay, currently there are no MPs, but the government must still function. And we've seen the Prime Minister speak several times since then as the Prime Minister. What happens to MPs and cabinet? Well, we know what happens to MPs. What happens to the cabinet ministers in this entire process?
Well, you know, we have a three-headed system of government. We have the executive, which is the Prime Minister and his cabinet. We have the legislature, which is the members of Parliament. In our system, cabinet ministers are also members of Parliament, but there are others who are not cabinet ministers. And then we have the judiciary. The only portion of government that stops functioning during the run-up to a general election is the legislature. So the judiciary is still functioning, the cabinet is still functioning. And it's necessary because otherwise we would not have a sitting government. So cabinet ministers and the Prime Minister function in their role up until election day, even election night when the results are issued.
All right. So with that in mind, then, election day is set for September 16th, but the new session of Parliament doesn't begin until October 6th.
Right.
Once the results come in on election night, how does that then change? Because you said to me that the ministers now will stop sitting on once the election results come in.
Right.
What happens in that period?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Under our system, which is the Westminster system, once the election results are known, change of government is virtually immediate. So by the next day, a new Prime Minister is normally sworn in. And then cabinet ministers, the process of selecting cabinet ministers begins. So the process is immediate. Now, this is unlike other systems of government. For example, under the US system, they have a transition period. So they have elections in November, but the new president isn't really sworn in until like January the 20th. And so during that period, there's opportunity for a proper process of transition. So it's arguable that under our system that we always have this kind of scramble when there's a transition to a new government. And sometimes that's not good for the overall system, but then that's a matter for debate in terms of whether we keep our system or change it.
So one of the things that we thought might happen under this previous administration, but is yet to, we'll see what happens on September 16th, is the setting for fixed election dates. What does our Constitution currently say about how they can be set?
Well, Article 66 of the Constitution indicates that Parliament can be dissolved at any time. And it's based on the Prime Minister issuing advice to the Governor General to so issue a proclamation to dissolve Parliament. So right now, the Constitution makes no provision for fixed election dates, and it's really at the discretion of the Prime Minister. Whenever he determines that it's needed or necessary under our current system, that's when it happens.
Merrit, we do have to go, but I just got one more because this was interesting to me that you said the Constitution doesn't currently provide for that. Obviously, we've seen many constitutional issues in the past, including, the rights of women to pass on citizenship, men, etc. And we've had to go to referendum for that. In order for us to get a fixed election date, is it your legal opinion that we would have to go to referendum to change that portion of the Constitution, or that could be done through another act of Parliament?
That's a very good question. I mean, as currently stated, it gives the Prime Minister the right to dissolve Parliament at any time. So I am not sure that you can change that by ordinary legislation. So that's how that would be done other than by referendum. I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you.
Interesting stuff. Well, it's interesting times, and of course, we're always happy when you can break it down for us. Thank you so much for coming on this morning and sharing with us that brilliant legal mind, Mr. Merrit Storr. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Storr. Pleasure. Take care. Good morning.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
The sports we play depend on the health we build. So let's stay healthy. Wear a mask and practice social distancing and hand washing to protect yourself and others. Remember, COVID-19 is not a game.
A public service message from the Bahamas Olympic Committee.
Summer is here, and Shell presents a summer of fun. Win $30,000 in prizes when you spend $20 in fuel at any Shell location, now through September 10th. Experience incredible hotel stays in the Family Islands and Nassau. Win thousands of dollars in fuel, groceries, and electronic devices. Fuel up today and submit your receipt by WhatsApp, email, and Facebook. Follow us on Facebook for more chances to win with Shell. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Thank you so much for staying with us. At this time, Mark, I unfortunately want to bring condolences to Mr. Wendell Clare. Mr. Clare served at the Consulas for many, many years, was one of the cameramen and producers for this show before his retirement. And today we offer him condolences on the passing of his sister. That, of course, coming in from June Aubrey, our executive producer, and the entire team at the Consulas and Bahamas at Sunrise. May her souls and the souls of the faithful departed through the mercies of God rest in peace.
Our condolences, Brother Wendell.
Indeed, indeed. Well, we've still got more to come in the second half of our show for you. Dr. Sheena Antonio-Collie announces the new treatment modality for COVID-19 that's now available at Doctors Hospital.
And we'll also talk with Dr. Locksley Munroe and get an historical perspective on the SARS-CoV-2 and the pandemic. But now let's take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Mark, and good morning, Bahamas. And your second look at weather at Sunrise. We take a look at the tropics this morning. We still have Honoré, now a tropical depression. And at 5 a.m. this morning, Honoré was located in a latitude 41.6 degrees north, longitude 74.4 degrees west, some 60 miles northwest of New York City. Honoré is moving east at 1 mile per hour, and those winds are now down to 30 miles per hour. And then we're watching a broad area of low pressure located several hundred miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, has a low chance, 10% chance of tropical cyclone formation through the next 5 days. Elsewhere, tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. On the local scene, high pressure ridge, along with a dense plume of Sahara dust, will continue to bring dry and stable conditions to the island. For the rest of the moving tropical wave will bring some showers on Wednesday and Thursday. In your marine forecast today, winds southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea to 4 feet in northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 15 knots, sea to 3 to 5 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Tuesday, east to southeast at 15 knots, sea 2 to 5 feet in northwest and central Bahamas, easterly at 1520 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet over the southeastern islands. Then on Wednesday, east to southeast at 15 knots, seas 2 to 5 feet over the northwest and central Bahamas, easterly at 15 knots, seas 2 to 5 feet over the southeastern islands. Your tide. You can expect a high tide at 9:08 this morning. Your next low tide will be at 3:17 this afternoon. High gain tonight at 9:30. Sunset 7:35 this evening. Rises tomorrow at 6:48. UV next 9. Your water temperature 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And your moon phase full moon. Your extended look. High pressure persists across the islands, but we have a tropical waves that will enhance some showers across the islands on Wednesday and Thursday. Your temperature daytime will be in the low 90s. At nighttime in the upper 70s. That puts you up in your follow. Good weather, sunrise. I've got to go inside. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Godfrey. We've been hearing how the Bahamian healthcare system is overwhelmed and is at a critical point. The coronavirus continues to strengthen and adapt, and thankfully, new treatment modalities are now available at Doctors Hospital. Here to tell us about it is Dr. Sheena Antonio-Collie, Chief Medical Officer of Doctors Hospital Health System and Medical Director of Doctors Hospital West. Good morning and welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, Mark. Good to be here.
Dr. Collie, as we were speaking off air, we know we're in a battle, and I wish we could just pull you out of the hospital and bring you in the studio with us to get a rest. Because I know you guys are you're blazing it all ends of the candle, and we just thank you guys again for being on the front line and for doing this work, which is really difficult and really taxing on the staff.
Absolutely. It really has been an experience. And even a year ago, there was no indication that it would be quite this bad. Right. And we definitely have to say, and uphold our frontline workers. They're extraordinary, and they're doing it every day. My staff at Doctors Hospital are going out there. We have resource limitations with staffing, et cetera, but we're doing it every day, trying to be as diligent as we can and come ahead of the fight.
Yes, and we definitely appreciate everyone's efforts, and we keep you in our prayers, definitely. So for, I guess, a little bit of good news, uplifting news, tell us about the monoclonal antibody treatments being offered at Doctors Hospital.
Well, monoclonal antibodies are not new. We've been using them for various types of treatments for a number of years. However, what researchers have found in the fight against COVID-19 is that these antibodies have been very effective in treating especially early disease. And what research has shown recently is that monoclonal antibodies can actually prevent people from requiring hospitalization. So for us, that's very good news. And definitely to be able to offer those treatments to patients who are early in their COVID experience. So you've been diagnosed with COVID, you have mild symptoms, and it's less than 10 days, then monoclonal antibodies can be given. It's given intravenously, usually doesn't take more than about an hour. And definitely, and indeed, like I said, the research has shown that it will mitigate against the need for hospitalization, which at this point is very important for us.
Yes, very important and very critical and very encouraging news. But aside from that, what vaccines are available at Doctors Hospital at this time?
So the Vaccination Consultative Committee has once again allowed Doctors Hospital to participate in the vaccination program, and we're very proud of that. We're very proud to be able to come alongside the government of the Bahamas to be able to provide vaccinations for the population, including our own staff. So definitely we will be having the Pfizer vaccine. We will be standing that up in about a week. And so it should be coming up as a option to select to be able to book your appointment at Doctors Hospital to have your Pfizer vaccination done. And like you said, we're very much looking forward to being able to participate in that, because as we know, vaccination is another arm of the, another part of the armor in terms of the battle against COVID-19.
Right. How are healthcare workers being vaccinated at this time? I know we hear a lot about the general public, but how is that vaccination happening within the healthcare system?
So the healthcare workers, especially at Doctors Hospital, are very encouraged about the vaccination and their options that they can get. What we're trying to do is make it easier for them. As you know, they work very hard, and sometimes it's hard to take your one day off to go get a vaccination. So we are trying to bring it home to them to facilitate the uptake of vaccination among the healthcare workers. We're giving them more and more information. We have a new commercial where we feature our physicians who have been extraordinary in terms of the uptake of the vaccination, to encourage the general public and everybody else that vaccines are indeed safe and they're indicated in this fight, and they're definitely something that we encourage for everybody to get.
Yes, and you know, for our healthcare workers, they're on the front line, they're our first line of defense, and we can't lose them. You guys are very critical to us, so we definitely understand the importance there. What would happen if our population was fully vaccinated?
Then we would be in heaven. That would be awesome. I mean, it would definitely, absolutely change the game completely, because we would see, I mean, just massively less hospitalization, definitely less deaths. You know, at Doctors Hospital, where our data is extremely similar to the data presented by the Ministry of Health, where we're not seeing vaccinated patients hospitalized or dying from COVID-19. So that would be a game changer, Mark.
That definitely sounds like it would be. Just to reiterate for the public, what is the current state of our healthcare system, and how can the general public help to reduce the strain on it?
General state right now is that we are very, very scarce when it comes to resources in terms of bed space, in terms of personnel. As you heard the Prime Minister said, we even had issues with oxygen in country. So we are very, very limited when it comes to the treatment of very severely ill patients with COVID-19. The public can definitely do all of those measures that we've been talking about for well over a year: hand sanitizing, masking, social distancing. Please do as much as you can. And then, of course, using the other treatments or the other modalities we have, such as vaccination, which is very important.
Wise words from one of our warriors on the front line. She's looking good this morning. You wouldn't know that you're battling out in the hospital, but keep looking good, keep doing the good fight for us. We're keeping you up in our prayers. Dr. Sheena Antonio-Collie, Chief Medical Officer of Doctors Hospital Health System and Medical Director of Doctors Hospital West. Thank you for being on Bahamas at Sunrise again, and we'll keep you in our prayers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back after this short break.
Have you heard about Trinity Christian Schools?
We are a family school located on Trinity Way, Stapleton Gardens. We offer quality Christian education from preschool to grade 6. Here are the reasons why you should choose Trinity Christian Schools.
We offer quality Christian education.
We are a family school.
Our teachers provide individual support.
Our class sizes are small.
We offer a safe and happy environment.
Our teachers are caring and experienced.
Join the Trinity family.
We want you to be a part of the Trinity Christian Schools.
Come join us.
We want you to be a part of our family.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Thank you for staying with us. Have other diseases gripped the world as COVID-19 has? Has the medical field learned in the past how to deal with the threatening and unknown? Well, here to talk with us about this, we're very happy to welcome Dr. Locksley Munroe. He's the Consultant General Surgeon at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Good morning and welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise, Dr. Munroe.
Good morning, Ms. Delicious, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Hope you're keeping well and safe.
I'm doing my best. I've gotten my vaccination for some months now, and just doing my part in this pandemic to try to be as safe as possible given the circumstances. You've been to medical school many years ago now, and since medical school in 1976, have you seen anything like COVID-19?
The answer to that is yes and no, and I see you are telling me out. Because you're telling me I entered medical school 45 years ago. But yes, there have been instances like COVID or similar to it. And they have impacted the entire globe, as well as on a national level. And we're talking about dengue, HIV, hepatitis, and we've had SARS, MERS, Ebola, and Zika. So there have been outbreaks of disease that some of them have become, by definition, pandemic. Others have remained epidemics and then outbreaks in the country on a local basis. Okay.
So you mentioned several ones, right? You talked about dengue, HIV, hepatitis, SARS, MERS, Ebola. When we take a look at what we're facing now, though, what were the approaches to these that kind of prevented them from getting to the level that we see we're at now?
Well, primarily it's based on a number of different factors. For instance, dengue is generally speaking transmitted by mosquitoes. So it's an environmental thing. So you can limit it by controlling mosquito population. HIV became almost a pandemic simply because humans were transmitting it. SARS and MERS similarly. However, because of the mitigating procedures put in place, they were limited to the Middle East, because that's MERS, and SARS to Southeast Asia. Ebola, again, was in Africa. And I don't remember, you remember when Obama was in presidency, he set up all the different protective measures to stop Ebola coming into America. Although I think 1 or 2 cases did reach because of travel, but he had set in place the regulatory requirements for travel. So that is what really prevents the disease from becoming a pandemic. What is the source of it? How do you mitigate it? And are those mitigating advice being taken? So each of them was a little bit different.
And when we take a look at SARS-CoV-2, what is your perspective on that?
Well, SARS is real. You know, a lot of people, they have all these conspiracy theories and all these sort of things, but the fact of the matter is SARS is real. Persons speak to SARS being less lethal versus the flu that we see every year. However, over the years, and this is since 1918 up to 1920, the globe has learned how to control the flu. SARS is a brand new issue. And even though it may not be as lethal as the flu, because the Spanish flu apparently caused about 50 million deaths. Right now, the death rate from SARS is about 4 million or somewhere around about there. So it's not as lethal, yes, but given the interaction that goes on in the world today and the number of countries that are connected, SARS has spread around the world at a much more rapid rate than what the Spanish flu would have done 100 years ago. And that is why the impact is so significant, because the entire globe has gotten impacted by this thing in very, very short order compared to the Spanish flu. Yeah.
So what is the cytokine storm?
Well, again, that is a part of physiology, and that is medical school. Your body has an immune system, and as we're taught, you have innate immunity as well as acquired immunity. Innate means that you are born with skin, you're born with tears in your eyes that protect your eyes from things getting in there. Your stomach has acid in it, and therefore bacteria and other toxic material, if they get into your stomach, the acidity in your stomach helps to protect you from it. The skin on the bottom of your foot is different from the skin on your face. Again, these are all innate protective methods. The acquired one is based on if you are exposed to something. Now, with the acquired immunity, you have a system. Your body is breached. You send out your foot soldiers. That's your white cells. They are the first ones to come out. There's response. Your blood vessel is going to bleed, it's going to contract. The platelet is going to cause a clot. Your white cell will come along to deal with that invader. The white cell is going to send a message to the backup system. Look, we need help on this battlefield. And that message is carried via what we call cytokine. Those are messages that go to the other part of your immune system that asks them to come in to assist with the battle. So when SARS enters the lungs by binding to your ACE enzyme, basically it sends out a message to the rest of the body to please bring in these other cells to help fight off this virus. So that is what the cytokine is. It is a messenger molecule that brings in the other part of your immune system.
Based on that, do you recommend vaccine?
I do. And in conjunction with the message from the Prime Minister, you can't force anyone to do anything. And yes, there are questions about the vaccine, valid questions. However, given the experience with the medical field, that vaccine is probably one of the best ways that we can help to reduce the impact of SARS-CoV-2. It's not perfect, again, because remember now, it is designed against the Alpha variant from 2019. Today we have the Beta, the Delta, the Lambda. So the efficacy or the effectiveness of it against these other three strains is not as well determined as it is against the Alpha. But I'm quite sure, given the way the body works, that there is a certain amount of coverage. It may not be 90%, it may be 60, it may be 40, but it does provide you with some level of coverage. Until, just like polio, they're going to have to find a new vaccine that includes all the strains that are there. So next year, we'll probably need to be vaccinated again. And that time, we'll have a vaccine that contains the antigen for all of the strains, and therefore you'll be fully covered against all the strains of SARS-CoV.
Yeah. All right, well, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Munroe. We know that a lot is happening at the hospital and on the front lines, but we're grateful always for people like you, 45 years of medical leadership. Even though I'm calling you out on that time frame, we appreciate the wisdom that you brought to us this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you all for having me, Ms. Felicia. Thank you very much.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
One thing, two things. Blue thing, Old things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right into the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
That's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Bahamas at Sunrise. We hope that you learned a lot and that you are getting yourself ready for what you need to do to protect yourself in this pandemic.
Definitely an informative show today. Enjoyed all the segments. The take-home message from Dr. Pinto, man. Woo, take the shot or stay on dry dock.
And that is a Mark Daniels original. If you guys put it on a sign, please remember to give my boy his commission. We're going to be back with more Bahamas at Sunrise this Friday. We will see you then. Make it a safe and wonderful week.
Take care, everyone, and see you at Andros Business Outlook on Wednesday.